Okay, warm up. What do you need to do? And why is it so important to warm up? And what can you do to get the very most of your warm up in order to improve your performance, in order to get faster? Now, I'm going to tell you what I do, why I do it, how it changes from shorter races to longer races, and when to do it in your training in order to get the very most out of your sessions. Now, I appreciate straight off the bat that it may not be to you the most interesting topic, but let me try to convince you that this might be the missing component that you are not inserting into your training, definitely into your training, but also into your racing in order to get the very best of your body on race day, and how it changed my game. Super powerful. Now, first of all, we need to think about the race, the goal that we have in mind. And that might change the warm-up in this way. If we're training for a 5K park run, we have the opportunity on race day to train all the way up until the race starts. We have the opportunity to, because there's total freedom in the park. You can go into the park, warm up straight up until the gun, and then go and do your 5K time trial, your 5K park run. And therefore, you can prime your body optimally, and we'll come on to the specifics of the warm-up, what exactly I do and why I do it in a second, but you can prime the body to run fast. The faster you are going to run, or the faster you intend to run in your race, the more of the warm-up you need up until a point. If you're then training for, let's say, London Marathon, and there's going to be 50,000 people there, you're going to get to a point, if you're running sort of 3 hours or less and you're not in the championship start or the elite start, there's going to be a period of time that you're literally just boxed in like that, like a sardine, and there's nothing much you can do. But what can you do in that situation? So we're going to discuss both of those options. Essentially, the warm-up is looking at the training schedule and saying, right, I've got 13 weeks dedicated training. That means 11, 12 weeks of dedicated sessions, and then I'm going to taper for 9, 10, 11 days, maybe 2 weeks. And so that gives us 11, 12 weeks, which means 22 to 24 sessions, long runs and interval sessions to build your speed endurance, and to build your endurance and stamina. That means that those 22 to 24 sessions, we have got to prime our body during the warm-up to milk as much super compensation from those sessions as possible. That's the most important point. We're trying to get as much improvement from the key sessions as possible. The other runs, the recovery runs and the easy runs, they're to accelerate the recovery, to pump oxygen-rich blood around the body so that your recovery is accelerated so that you get ready to run fast or far again. It's the super compensation from those two key sessions that we're looking at. And the warm-up absolutely puts you in the right place if you do it right. Now, here's what I would do. It's the most important when you're going to do interval sessions, because when you're going to do interval sessions, you're going to run at race pace or beyond race pace, faster than race pace. And therefore, we want to get our body ready to run fast, which means psychologically we want to be ready, physiologically we want to be ready, and physically we want to be ready. So how do we do that? Also working back from the goal. So if you've got to think whether you're training for 5K, 10K, what have I got access to on the race morning? Is it going to be boxed in like London? And how does that change? My argument would be that you want to get as much as possible out of about 7 to 9 minutes as you possibly can. And then we'll come to the long run in a second. The long run, if you're going to run a marathon, or if you're going to, I get that there's massive 10Ks like Bupa, Manchester 10K, there's going to be 40,000 runners there. You want to get ready to run fast, but it's probably not available for you. It's probably not possible. We'll get to that in a second, what you can do in a small space. When you're running fast, what that's going to look like, your warm-up, is initially exactly the same as the recovery run, exactly the same as the easy run. We're walking for 2-3 minutes, maybe 200, 300 meters, and just figuring out, how's my body feeling? Did the recovery session work after the long run? Did the easy run help bridge the recovery run to what I want to do today? How were my accelerations yesterday, if today is an interval session? We want to walk and just figure out the body. And then we want to jog as slow as possible for maybe another 1-2 minutes. And that's just kind of fixing or thinking, is there any tightness? Is there any soreness? Are there any hot spots where I need to figure out or need to fix before I start to run? Remember that you only have 22 to 24 sessions, key sessions in order to get right. So you don't want one to go missing because you've not warmed up properly. You want to prime the body. And if you're kind of in a state of mind that, yeah, I can feel a little niggle, but I still want to get this interval session right because it's so important to tick off in order for the bigger picture. It's the wrong way to think of things. And sometimes that warm-up would be able to tell you either you need to continue the warm-up so that you can put yourself in a place to run fast, or you need to just chalk it up that I'm not ready, I've not had enough recovery days in order to run fast, and therefore I'm going to do this tomorrow, and today is another easy run. That's the art of coaching, and it takes some time to get to that level and discipline. But you're walking for a couple of minutes, you're slow jogging for 1 to 2 minutes, then you're dynamic stretching, so that's leg swings. For me, it's engaging the glutes. It's literally switching the glutes on and the hamstrings and saying, you're going to do the majority of the work today. You're the big power muscles. Yeah, I'm going to be pushing off from fast feet, and I want my feet to be warmed up, but the glutes and the hamstrings are going to be doing the majority of the work. And that's really important. So even on the spot, if you're at London Marathon and you're caged in, even on the spot, you can just put your legs back a little bit so that you can feel your glutes engaging. You can kind of go onto one leg and drop down a little bit like a one-legged squat and feel your glute engage. That's where you want to be because you want from the start the big power muscles to be doing the work. So what we'll start to do then after we're jogging and slightly gradually getting faster and we've done the dynamic stretching, we'll start to do accelerations. Now, depending on what the interval session is, whether it's 1 minute intervals, 2 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, or 10 minute, what I like to do is get to a point with the shorter intervals where I'm going to be going faster, where during the warm up, I'm already doing 50 to 75% of a rep times 2. So if those are 1 minute intervals that I'm going to do, 20 times 1 minute interval, for instance, then I'll do 30 to 45 seconds at the intended pace of the session times 2. If it's a 2 minute interval, then it will be 1 minute to 1.5 minutes. I get that that's a lot, but what I want is to get the very most of my 20 times 1 minute. I want to prime my body to put it in the best possible place to run that session and to pace that session and be in control of that session and box that session off and be a big tick in the box so that then I can move forward confidently to the next weeks. And ultimately, the goal, whether it's fast running or whether it's your long run, the goal is to put yourself in the best possible position and get ready for peak performance, ready for your race. For the long run, it's equally as important to be ready. And for the long run, especially if you're training for 10K, half marathon, marathon, ultra marathon, that's the opportunity to practice your warm-up before the race. Now, you may have little issues like, you're at the London Marathon, you're at Berlin, you're at Chicago, one of these big city marathons or half marathons, and you can't do what you usually would do. I would always opt for the optimal warm-up for my long runs and interval sessions to put your body in a place to run as well as you can, as strong as you can, as fast as you can during those sessions for the right level of effort. When it comes to the race, what I look back on and always work back from a goal, I think, right, if I'm going to get to London, I'm aiming for 3:20 for the marathon, I'm going to be boxed in for 45 minutes before, I want to keep myself warm, and I realize that I'm going to need to warm up on the spot, so what would that look like? And practice that in training a couple of times, at least a couple of times. But the way I would get ready for a long run, exactly the same as the interval session, walking, then slow jogging, bit of a check, is everything okay? The interval session was only on Wednesday. Am I fully recovered? Am I ready to go long? Am I ready if it's a specific long run and there's going to be a period of time where it's quite easy for you, it's comfortable, you can have a conversation, you're nicely in zone 1 and zone 2, and then there's a dedicated portion, there's a segment in there where you're going to be running at maybe marathon pace or race pace or a bit quicker than race pace or whatever that session may call for. You want to be ready to be running those fast periods, but at the same time, during that warm-up, you know that for the next, let's say it's a 24K long run with 8 kilometers dedicated at marathon pace in between, you know that for the first 8 kilometers, you're going to be doing marathon pace and 20% slower. So it's going to be comfortable for you to get to that period and feel fully warmed up. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to stop and stretch on your long runs. Same as your recovery runs and easy runs. If you've got a small niggle, a small problem that's a 1 or 2 out of 10, don't make that a 5 or 6 or 7 hour, a real problem that you then need to have time off. Stop, stretch, fix it. Remember that you're preparing to run as fast as you possibly can on one day. So always work back from the goal. Think, what is the session? Interval sessions, super important to do your warm up, and you're gonna put yourself in a really good place to go fast. Long run, super important. Again, you've got to put yourself in a good position, especially for a specific long run, to run those segments or intervals at race pace. You've got to prepare the body, and then you're going to maximize the super compensation, the improvement that you're getting from those 2 sessions. And as I said, 22 to 24 sessions on the way to running your fastest 5K or 10K or half marathon or marathon or ultra marathon. Super important. For the recovery runs, easy runs, a lot less pressure on that warm up, because essentially you're warming up as you're going. You're checking, yesterday was a long run or 2 days ago was an interval session. Has that long run or interval session gone in? Do I feel comfortable enough to do this recovery run? Should I just run this? Should I just walk it? So it's those easy runs and recovery runs are more like an MOT check. Has the run gone in? And the main purpose, by the end of this recovery run or easy run, I want to feel better. So stop and stretch as much as you want. Dynamic stretching, get that blood flowing around the body, put yourself in a really good place to hit the key sessions. Good luck. And if you got anything from that, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.